Okay, let's dive into this. Because honestly, the average person is going to spend roughly 90,000 hours of their life at work. 90,000. Today, we're unpacking a master blueprint for wealth that makes absolutely sure you aren't just trading all those finite hours for a simple paycheck. We're looking at the ultimate alchemy here, the transformative concept of taking your extremely limited time and basically transmuting it into infinite scale. So if you've ever felt like, no matter how incredibly hard you work, you just can't seem to get ahead of the ticking clock, well, you're in exactly the right place. I want to start off by asking a question that honestly might feel a little uncomfortable at first. What if literally everything you were taught about hard work is just a complete trap? I mean, we're all conditioned from day one to believe that trading our hours for dollars, what we call linear labor, is the guaranteed, reliable path to sustainable wealth. We're told, hey, just put in more hours, grind a little harder, and you'll eventually win the game, right? But as we go through the source material we're analyzing in this explainer today, it totally exposes this traditional mindset for what it really is, a pretty bleak illusion. Welcome to what the blueprint calls the trap of finiteness. Here's the deal. When your earning potential is completely shackled to a clock, you are stuck in a system of linear decay. Just think about it for a second. Your survival, your actual income, is 100% dependent on your physical presence. It's literally the ultimate hamster wheel. The very second you stop running, maybe you take a vacation or, just catch a bad cold, the wheel stops spinning and your income stops dead in its tracks. It's a game you can never truly win, simply because your most precious and limited resource, your time, is the ultimate bottleneck. To really grasp the way out of this trap, we need to compare two totally different paradigms. First up, we have labor. As we just talked about, this is linear decay. It's hyper-focused on just seeking that next paycheck. And guys, it's a terminal dead end for wealth building. Why? Because you only have 24 hours in a day and you can only work so many of them before you completely burn out. But then, in stark contrast, we have ownership. Now we're talking infinite scale. This is all about seeking equity, building code, and acquiring assets. In this paradigm, your assets are doing the heavy lifting while you're asleep. They rely on autonomous systems that honestly couldn't care less if you're awake, asleep, or chilling on a beach halfway across the globe. Transitioning from labor to ownership is basically the only real path to true scale. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the master directive it outlines. It reveals a seriously profound philosophy. You have to break the time-income link completely. See, true wealth is totally different from the actual physical cash sitting in your wallet. A strategic thinker views money simply as an IOU from society. Basically, it's a social credit score for your ability to solve problems for other people in the past. But wealth? Real wealth consists of assets that earn autonomously. We're talking about the factory, the algorithm, the digital product. To reach true financial sovereignty, you literally have to shift your entire identity. You have to stop being a laborer who just executes tasks and become an owner who builds systems. So how do we actually pull this off? How do we build this ownership? Well, the blueprint introduces a brilliant framework popularized by Naval Ravikant, and it breaks down the 4 distinct levers you can pull to multiply your output. Think of this as taking the red pill of wealth creation. It is a massive mental model shift. Once you see exactly how these levers work, and more importantly, how the old, stuffy gatekeeper systems have been completely shattered by modern technology, you just can't unsee it. So let's break down what these 4 levers actually are. All right, here they are: labor, capital, code, and media. Let's look at the first 2. These are the old school ways of doing things. Labor simply means hiring other people to work for you. Sure, it's the oldest form of leverage out there, but man, is it full of friction. Managing humans is tough. They predictably want things like weekends off, health benefits, and, sleep. Capital, on the other hand, means using money to make more money. Super powerful, absolutely, but it comes with a major catch: gatekeepers. Bankers, investors, or bosses literally have to give you permission to access those funds. But then we look at numbers 3 and 4. Code and media. These 2 represent a massive, historic shift in how wealth is actually generated today. So the crucial point is that this brings us to the absolute core of the entire strategy: permissionless leverage. If we apply the 80-20 rule here, this is that vital 20% of your effort that's going to drive 80% of your long-term prosperity. Code and media are completely autonomous tools. Think about it. You don't need a banker's approval to write a piece of software. You don't need some TV executive's permission to record a podcast, write a book, or publish a piece of content online. They scale infinitely, and they operate completely independently of your physical presence. The big aha moment here is that modern wealth is built without asking a single person for permission. Notice how this specific framework details exactly how to scale your output. By putting all your focus on permissionless leverage instead of those older permission-based forms, you fundamentally decouple your wealth creation from your finite hours of labor. You are officially done trading 1 hour of your life for 1 hour of pay. Instead, look, you might spend 100 hours upfront coding a basic app or writing a really comprehensive script, but once it's done, the cost of replicating it is basically zero. That system just goes out into the digital wild and works for you relentlessly, 24/7, 365 days a year, without ever once knocking on your door to ask for a raise. Just think of code as an invisible army that literally never sleeps. It's such a beautiful cinematic metaphor, right? Imagine writing a piece of software. The moment you deploy it, it is exactly like dispatching a million tireless workers out into the pitch black of night to do your bidding. They don't need coffee breaks, they never call in sick, and they definitely aren't clocking out at 5 p.m. They are purely autonomous. They're out there executing your logic for 1,000 or even 1,000,000 users all at the exact same time for fractions of a penny. It infinitely scales your initial upfront effort. And it's a very similar story with media. Think of media as a massive broadcast signal. It is the ultimate megaphone. Back in the day, reaching millions of people required huge amounts of capital and the blessing of traditional media gatekeepers. But today, an explainer exactly like this one acts as a laser-focused signal, cutting right through all the noise. It genuinely doesn't matter if you're listening to this on a packed subway commute in Tokyo or sitting quietly at a desk in London. The cost to replicate this signal for one more person is absolute zero. It works for you while you're awake, and it just keeps on reaching people, educating them, and building your reputation long after you've gone to sleep. But you might be wondering, okay, what exactly should my code or my media actually be about? Well, the blueprint is super clear on this. It has to be built on your specific knowledge. These are the skills that feel like absolute play to you, but look like grueling, miserable work to everyone else. It could be a hyper-specific obsession with, I don't know, vintage watch mechanics, or maybe you have this deep, intuitive understanding of complex supply chain logistics. To make permissionless leverage truly work for you, you have to follow your own authentic, natural curiosity. Don't just chase whatever the fleeting market trend of the week is. When your work is a genuine extension of who you are, no one can ever compete with you. You literally become irreplaceable. Let's move to and see how this builds, because all of this architecture we've been talking about, the code, the media, the specific knowledge, it all funnels toward a single ultimate destination. We've talked a lot about escaping the trap of finiteness and building up this incredible permissionless leverage, but what is the actual end goal here? What is it all for? The blueprint refers to this ultimate destination as the sovereign end state. And guys, it is all about escaping the matrix of continuous required labor entirely. To actually reach that end state, though, we have to look inward. The blueprints quotes this truly fascinating philosophical point. Every desire is a chosen unhappiness. Just pause and think about that for a second. When you deeply desire something, you are essentially signing a contract with yourself to remain unhappy until you finally get it. The blueprint emphasizes that happiness is an internal skill. It's built by careful daily habits, not just some external reward granted to you for financial success. Because if you don't manage those desires, you're just going to keep moving the goalposts on yourself forever. You absolutely must cultivate internal peace at the exact same time you're building your unstoppable wealth engine. And this brilliantly illustrates the sovereign end state outlined here, where the final objective is defined simply as freedom. True sovereignty isn't about just piling up currency so you can buy more expensive things you don't even really need. No way. It's the total, undeniable autonomy to just walk away from the game because you've already won the internal battle. It's freedom from trading your precious time for money. It's freedom from that endless, exhausting cycle of status and envy. It is having the profound presence of mind to actually sit back, take a deep breath, and truly enjoy the incredible autonomous system you've built. So, we arrive at the crossroads. You now know the fundamental difference between the trap of linear labor and the infinite scale of permissionless leverage. You know that code and media are the exact tools you need to finally decouple your income from your time. The blueprint is literally right in your hands. So the question is, will you spend the rest of your life as a laborer, forever shackled to the ticking clock? Or will you start building your invisible army tonight? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. It's time to build.